As it turns out, portable gaming isn't dead after all. Hey guys, what's up? This is David, aka Packet Stiller. Follow me on Twitter at Packet Stiller, and I had to talk about it. I had to talk about this. And normally my videos are scripted. I normally like to write out a script, but this time it's unscripted. It's just what's on my mind right now. So if I start jumbling my words and everything, I apologize, but I got to talk about this. So if you've been following the tech news and gaming news lately, you'll see that Valve, who owns Steam, which is basically a digital storefront to buy games on PC, they just came out with the Steam Deck, which is basically a handheld Switch, or rather, it's a handheld portable PC, gaming PC, that basically runs Steam, and you can play all your Steam games on there. So I kind of want to talk about that and just show this to you all and just kind of react to it a little bit. I don't know, I haven't really done a reaction video, but just consider this kind of a reaction and everything. So let's switch over to the website and just look at it. So hold on, let's switch on over. All right, so you see here, right? So this is basically, as you can see here, this is basically the Steam Deck, not Stream Deck, the Steam Deck. And just scrolling down, this is right here. This is basically what it looks like. And one thing I like about this is that right here you see actual gameplay running on the prototype. So this is a video of someone actually playing this game. They're playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order on here, and this is honestly, pretty cool. Like I said, this is unscripted, so just forgive me if I just kind of mumble through words or just kind of not really make any sense whatsoever. But I do have a few notes that I kind of wanted to put out there. So basically, let's kind of go through this, right? So going with the hardware, right? So you can see here, basically, it looks like a Switch. It has two joysticks and all this. And IGN actually did a first look on this, and the person who used it, they actually got a chance to use it, have hands-on. It was a pre-production unit, obviously, but they said that it's pretty ergonomic. Like it doesn't look like it would be very ergonomic with the thumb pad, with the words are hard, with the thumbsticks being up here and the D-pad and the phase buttons being up here. But he said that it was pretty ergonomic, so that's cool. You can see here it has like these two touch pads, which you can use. You can actually map your mouse to it, so you can use mouse input on it. So one thing about this that is really unique, well, I won't say it's unique, but so this actually runs like a version of Linux called SteamOS. And basically, you can basically run all your Steam games on here. Like you log into Steam, and if you have your library, you can just basically run all the games that are there. But that's not it though, right? So if you didn't even want this, right? If you could just wipe away SteamOS, right, and just install Windows or another version of Linux or basically anything you want. And so they've made this really customizable, where you can basically do anything you want with it. And actually, let's go over to the tech specs, because I wanted to show you something. So here's basically what it looks like. All the ports and stuff, has a headphone jack and all that stuff. I mean, it's pretty standard portable fare. If you have a Switch, then it looks like this, right? It looks like this. But look at this. So they partner with AMD. Valve partnered with AMD, and basically there's an APU, or I think this stands for, I forgot what it stands for, but basically it's like a CPU and GPU all in one. And the name's going to come to me after this video, and I'm going to hit myself. But anyways, you can see here that it's a Zen 2 for 4 cores, 8 threads. I mean, honestly, the specs, now when you look at just the raw specs, right? It says, the GPU power is 1.6 teraflops, which somewhat puts this around the power of maybe a PS4 or Xbox One. But since this is Zen 2, RDNA 2, in architecture, it's not exactly the same. And the thing is, when it comes to comparing different kinds of architecture, what might be 1.6 teraflops for this architecture might be different for this architecture. So when I say it's around PS4, Xbox One, don't really freak out. That said, it is more powerful than the Switch. So For all those who wanted a Switch Pro, here this is basically your Switch Pro. If you really want to, I mean, you can't play Mario on it, but it's basically a Switch Pro. But as you can see here, it has 16 gigs of DDR5 RAM, LDDR5 RAM. That's actually pretty fast. I mean, 5.5. I forgot what the MT per second mean, but this is more than not more, but this is faster than what's in my computer. I have a gaming PC, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM. This is DDR5, so pretty good. You can see here it comes in 3 different storage configurations, 64 gigs of eMMC. I mean, that's not the fastest. It's not too bad, but honestly, I'd probably stay away from the 64 gigs because a lot of games now, especially like games like Modern Warfare or Warzone, where you basically have to download the entire thing on PC, that can take up a lot of space. The Witcher 3 or Cyberpunk. If you're trying to download really big games, I can see this filling up the 64 gigs really fast. Fortunately, though, they do. Words are hard. They do have 256 gigs of SSD storage, NVMe storage, and also 512 gigabytes. So there are some pretty decent options. There's not a terabyte option, unfortunately, but there is a micro SD card slot, so you can expand it that way and just store your games there. So that's at least it has some way of expanding your storage outside of this. So that's not too bad. I mean, all the other stuff. Some people have made note of the resolution, so it's 1280 by 800. Some people are like, oh, that's too low. But all right, keep in mind, right? How big this is a 7-inch screen. I want to say this is also a 7-inch screen. I forgot exactly what size the Switch's screen was, but you're playing a game on a screen this size, right? Do you really need 4K, 1440p? I mean, even 1080p is kind of probably the max at what you would want to play on a screen this size, because once it gets higher than that, you're running into the law of diminishing returns, and honestly, it's just going to sap your battery. So it doesn't really make all that much sense, right? So to me, what this means is that I can play games, and since the power, I said it's around the power of PS4, Xbox One, which means that you can play basically any game out there at around medium high settings at 720p, right? I mean, like I said, you're playing this you're playing this on a 7-inch screen. That said, right? So let me show you something else. A dock there, right here. There is an official dock to this thing, right? You can basically plug it into a monitor. You can add a keyboard and mouse, and you can use it like like a PC. It is a PC. I mean, look at these specs. This is a PC, right? This is for lack of a better term, this is a gaming PC. So you can plug it in and play with a mouse and keyboard. Like if you want to play Doom Eternal or Call of Duty or something like that, right? But you prefer mouse and keyboard. You don't want to use the built-in controls here, right? You can just plug it into a dock, plug in a mouse and keyboard, and there you go. And that's the flexibility of the Steam Deck. So honestly, this is really good. And I will be remiss if I didn't mention that Steam has tried something similar like this before, right? Do you remember Steam machines? Steam machines, where basically it was kind of like a console where you plug them into your TV and you basically used it like a console. There's the Steam controller, which they still sell, I believe. They had the Steam controller, then you had the Steam machine where you plug into your TV and you basically played Steam in what's called big picture mode. And so you would play it like a console. It's like a gaming PC equivalent of a console, but it didn't do all that well. It kind of crashed and burned. So now I don't think that's going to happen with this. And they've already started pre-orders. In fact, today, as this video is being shot, it is July 16th. That's when pre-orders went live, and there have been some problems. Some people have had troubles. I had troubles. I wasn't really trying to buy it, but I just wanted to see, how far I could get. And unfortunately, I ran into an issue where it said that my account was too new, despite the fact that I've had a Steam account for years. And so that really shouldn't have been a problem. Other people had trouble putting in their credit card information. And so I don't know, it's been kind of a mess trying to get trying to pre-order this thing. So if you're trying to pre-order, it might be a stone's, a luck of the draw, right? If you can actually get one, kind of like the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, right? I have a PS5, but I it I couldn't get one at first, right? It took me a while to get one. I kind of lucked up with it, but so there have been some problems with pre-ordering, and hopefully this doesn't really go the way of the dodo, like the Steam machines. And I honestly, I think this is going to do a lot better than the Steam machines. And the way that these pre-orders are going, I think they're selling out of these things. People want this, and it doesn't help that there are the GPU shortages. If you're trying to build a gaming PC, unless you're willing to pay like way over MSRP for these graphics cards, it's not really worth it. And so if you can get a portable gaming PC like this and then just install Windows on it, there you go, right? And let me go back to the price. I think the price is here. They're starting at $399. Now that's for the 64 gig, and then it goes up to like here it is. So $529 for 256 and $649 for the 512. I mean, to be honest, that's really not that bad. Considering what you're getting. It even has a handy little carrying case right here, right? So, I mean, you can get the dock to use mouse and keyboard, and you can install your own operating system on it. And I mean, it's really, it's really good. Now, I know if you're watching this video, you might be thinking, but wait, David, there are other things like this, right? There are. So, hold on, let me switch back to the. So there are other things like this, right? You got I actually have some notes here. You have the One X player, you have the GPD Win 3, and there's a 1 and a 2 before that. So this is the third iteration of the GPD Win, and the Aya Neo. And Dell actually tried their hand at this with Alienware. So they have the Alienware UFO. Unfortunately, I have no idea what's going to happen with the UFO. I don't think it's actually come out. And when they showed it off, I think it was at CES. And when they came out with it, people were like, "Yeah, we need this." And there was a lot of excitement over the Alienware UFO, but unfortunately, I don't think it's come out yet, and I don't even know if it will come out. And so, with Valve coming out with this Steam Deck, that kind of fills that niche, right? But yeah, so there are other portable gaming PCs out there that can do this, but the advantage that Valve has is that it has Steam, right? Dell and none of those other companies have their own digital storefront. So if you just want a dead simple console-like experience, right? Portable console-like experience, you can just buy this and just use Steam, right? You just most PC games are on Steam anyway. I mean, yes, some are on the Epic Game Store or the Microsoft Store, but by and large, most PC games are on Steam. So you can just buy this out, and just out the box, sign into Steam, and there you go, right? You don't need you don't need anything else. So they have that hardware, they have the software married together, kind of like a console. All right. And I think that's the business model that they're going with, right? So in the traditional console space, you have Microsoft and you have Sony and Nintendo, right? They sell their console at a loss and then make up that revenue with software. So that's basically how it works. And I think that's where Valve is going, because they're not making money on this. Like putting a high-end RDNA 2 AMD chip in here, like they're not making money on this Steam Deck thing. But I bet they're going to make it up in the software. So they're betting on you just buying all your games on Steam, which, to be honest, probably 95% of PC gamers buy their games on Steam, right? When the Epic Games Store came out, people were so mad that there are some games that were exclusive to Epic Games and it wasn't going out on Steam. So I'm willing to bet most PC gamers are going to have a Steam account. But I think this highlights the need for Nintendo to come out with a Switch Pro, right? There were all these rumors with Nintendo's going to come out with a Switch Pro. Nintendo's going to come out with a Switch Pro. And then what did they come out with? The Switch OLED model. I mean, it's, the upgrades that they made on the OLED model are great. Having the Ethernet jack there, having a bigger screen, an OLED screen, those are all nice and dandy, but it's still the same Switch. And right now, is the Switch is running into its performance limits right now. And while it's great that you can play games like The Witcher 3, Doom Eternal, the original Doom, Doom 2016, like you can play some AAA heavy games on here, but obviously that comes with a performance deficit, right? You're making that up by being able to play it on the go, right? So, but you don't, if you're trying to play The Witcher 3 at a more respectable frame rate and with a little bit more details, you can just buy the Steam Deck and just play it on there, right? That's basically a Switch Pro. And so honestly, this kind of highlights Nintendo's need for a Switch Pro, right? And to come out with a newer version of this thing. I love this thing. Like I play the Switch all the time. I just beat Hyrule Warriors a few days ago, and so this is great. But it's not that powerful anymore, right? And until Nvidia comes out with their X2 or X3 or whatever their next mobile processor, this is this is going to fall by the wayside in a few years, maybe even by next year. I mean, the novelty of the Switch is that you can, dock it when you're at home and play on a big TV, and then take it with you when you're out and about. Or if you just prefer playing using just in just like this, right? So honestly, yeah, Nintendo needs to do that, and uh, they would make a buttload. I mean, as of the Verge came out with an article saying that Switch sales were 84 million. Like the total amount was 84 million in May of this year. Now, the total amount of Wii sales were 101 million. They can easily make that up within the next year, even more so if they come out with a Switch Pro. This also highlights the need for Sony to come out with another Vita. Like they canceled the Vita. You remember the Vita? They came out with the Vita and it was great. It had an OLED screen, ironically, but they canceled the Vita. And I think this highlights the need that people want mobile games, right? And not just putting, a controller on their phone and playing that way. Although, because you can install any operating system on the Switch Deck, that also means you can use Game Pass and Stadia and NVIDIA GeForce Now on the Steam Deck, right? It's oh my god, this is a great thing, and I'm just tempted to get one. But yeah, if Sony came out with a new Vita, if Nintendo came out with the Switch Pro, that would open up a whole new avenue of competition in the mobile space, right? Ironically, and yeah, so my thoughts are kind of all over the place right now. So I apologize for all of that. But I really wanted to talk about this and just kind of get my thoughts out there and just let you know what I thought about the Steam Deck. And if you're able to get your hands on it, hey, go ahead. If you have been able to pre-order, let me know. Let me know in the comments. What do you think is the future of the Steam Deck? Do you think that Valve made a good choice here? Do you plan on picking one up, or are you holding out for a Switch Pro or anything? Let me know down there in the comments and let's have a conversation. I know my content's been kind of all over the place. I'm coming out with a review very soon, so be on the lookout for that. So yeah, if you like this content, if you like reviews and reactions and impressions of all that stuff, this is YouTube, right? Do what you need to do down there so you can see the stuff up here. All right. So thank you so much for watching this video. Until next time, Soli Deo Gloria.